Welcome everyone to Group Dentistry Now's DSO Study Club webinar series. We're going to give everybody just a couple of minutes to file in. Thank you for taking an hour out of your busy days. We have with us Dr. Brett Gilbert. It's great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me.
He is a board certified endodontist. His company he's the founder of is Access Endo Impact Academy. So we're going to learn a lot more about Dr. Gilbert in a second, and he is going to take us through how to turn endodontics into a DSO growth engine. And he's got a great program. I had a chance this morning to take a look at the slides and learn a lot more about it. So this is going to be a lot of fun. There is an opportunity to ask questions. I know a lot of you already sent questions in ahead of time. Thank you so much for that. We probably have more questions than we can answer within an hour. However, either Dr. Gilbert or Coltine, who is kind enough to sponsor this webinar, will answer the questions after the fact. If you have any questions that come up during Dr. Gilbert's presentation, please put those in the Q&A area and we will try and answer those here if we can, live. If not, again, we will either Coltine or Dr. Gilbert or I will get back to you. So I'm going to give it, we're about 1 minute in. I'm going to give it another minute, let everybody file in. Oh, the other thing here is that this will be recorded. So if you want to send the recording out to anybody that may have missed this, feel free to do that. It'll be up on the groupdentistrynow.com website under the webinar tab. And give us about 30 minutes after we record this to upload that, but we will get it up pretty quickly. It will also be on our YouTube channel, so you will have access to this. And we'll be sending you out an email 24 hours after the webinar is over, and we'll have a link to that video as well, so you'll have access to that. And then also contact information if you want to reach out to Coltine or you want to reach out to Dr. Gilbert. We'll have the contact information in there and just any other information that we need. I know Dr. Gilbert has a slide at the end with some contact info, but I think we're 2 minutes in. So again, we have Dr. Brett Gilbert. He is a board certified endodontist, founder of Access Endo Impact Academy, and I'm going to let him take things over here. I'm going to moderate things on my side, the Q&A, and then hopefully we'll have about 10 minutes at the end to answer some questions that came in ahead of time, because we do want to try and address some of those. But Dr. Gilbert, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Bill, and welcome. Thank you for being here. This title of the program should lead you right down the path of where we're headed, which is this concept of businessry, right? We are clinicians. We are taking care of patients. Many of you are, making decisions that impact many clinicians at one time. So there is a business aspect, and then there is the dentistry. And when we can combine them successfully, we can really have amazing success across the board. So this is about empowering clinicians through a whole person mentorship program for really sustainable DSO growth. And of course, everyone wants to grow, and we can have quick flashes in the pan, but can we create a sustainable opportunity? And I believe we do that by empowering the clinicians, by treating them, mentoring them, and educating them as a whole person, which means that they have a professional side and a personal side. And we want to address both and have them feel supported in that. If you could reach out to me on social, I'm the same handle everywhere, Dr. Brett Gilbert. Post a lot of content. As you'll see, my main focuses and passions are endodontics, hands down, and personal growth and development. And that idea of finding the best version of yourself, striving to do that every single day, and allowing that growing human being to be a healthy doctor that walks into the operatory to treat my patients. And I think if we can approach all of your doctors in the same way, you'll see that a same doctor can absolutely astound you with what they are actually capable of within the operatory and without. So yes, I'm a real doctor. I went to University of Maryland, so I want to just show that very proud of my University of Maryland background. I am a diplomate of the American Board of Endodontists. So the diplomate status is really only about 22 to 23% of licensed endodontists. So it's something I'm very proud of. If you'll notice, it took me about 9 years to get there after graduation, but very proud of that. I do have my own private practice here in Chicago. I am a partner in Specialized Dental Partners, so I have a keen understanding of the DSO models, what's happening within the DSOs, how messages, how initiatives are translated down from decision maker to clinician. And also what's important is I believe I can serve as a bridge for those also messages being translated back up. And how can we synergize the communication, having a keener and better understanding of what each is looking for, and how we can work as a team so that the DSO elevates, the dentist elevates, and most importantly, and the reason I'm standing here today, so that we can elevate the care we provide to patients. I am a clinical assistant professor at the University of Illinois, really enjoy my time there. And so, let's talk about the truth about root canal treatment, because obviously the title of this program drew you in. It's obvious that DSOs are looking to grow. Every business is. But are there always things that are just sort of laying around in the clinic that we could actually pick up and turn into revenue and turn into a lot of good things? So some truths about root canals. Number one, it's a very commonly needed procedure day in and day out. And it offers value to the patient by saving their natural teeth. I mean, we've seen through the American Association of Endodontists, through their Save the Tooth program, that human beings absolutely value saving their natural teeth. And if it's not for the aesthetics, the function, the smiling, the speech, it's also just because they also see the path of an implant. It's a long, arduous path. And saving a natural tooth is just a beautiful service. Number two, endo is a primary emergency dental treatment. It leads to downstream revenue. So the patient comes in as an emergency, but downstream from that is a crown, is follow-ups, is general routine care. There's a lot of gold at the end of the pathway when it starts with a patient phoning the practice with a dental emergency. We all have dental emergency. I'm sure all of you on all of your practice websites, you list dental emergency for optimization, right? And the reality is can you really offer that? And that's what Endo does. It creates emergency clinicians for you, for your patients, and we can allow the doctors to really step into that emergency situation with confidence. And here's the reality, the truth. General dentists are choosing not to perform these valuable procedures because why? They lack training, they lack confidence, and quite honestly, they lack any supervision. So they sort of feel like they're out there on their own, prone to make mistakes, and they don't want that. And that's why I'm here today. I want to give you a pathway where we can help the doctors overcome some of this and really create a growth engine for the DSO across the board. So let's talk about the truth about root canal treatment. There's a lot of value baked in. Clinical value, again, it's a tooth-saving procedure, eliminates infection. Again, patient comes in pain. You can get them out of pain. You can change their life in an instant. There's a huge economic value for this. Obviously, it's a high value procedure. And so when we talk about the buzzwords of increasing same-store sales growth, talk about increasing clinician productivity, right? Taking the same clinicians you have, but in the next year, seeing a much different number associated with those clinicians. That's what root canal treatment can do for you and your practices. And then, of course, for the clinician, the clinician, again, is having a confidence issue with endo. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But when they gain that confidence, when they start to get the wins, successful treatments, happy patients, wow, not only do they take ownership of these more advanced cases, but it builds their confidence, it builds their satisfaction, it builds their revenue. And ultimately, with that, the growth and fulfillment, both personally and professionally, because it's so easy to look at the dentist in the clinic and think of them as a professional. But if we don't look at them as a whole person, it's not just the person that's in the clinic, it's that person back at home. And when the two are synergized together and feeding and fueling each other, you get a much different clinician that's ready to play and ready to really produce and create a great opportunity for your patients. So let's talk about the multiple layers of value, right? The root canal therapy isn't just a procedure. It really is a way to build confidence in the doctor, right? That's a clear thing, because I always say if a doctor can master endo, there's nothing in dentistry that will intimidate them after that. It's a revenue generator, a skill builder, and no doubt it allows the doctor to feel pride, because when you overcome the fear of a procedure because you weren't trained adequately, you don't have enough experience, but you overcome that. It's a growth that absolutely translates into your personal life as well. So by empowering clinicians, and that's really what I'm about. It's about education, as we'll talk about, but it's about empowerment. It's about inspiring them. It's encouraging them. then they can actually, instead of refer these cases, they can take them on, unlocking production and truly reigniting their purpose. So, again, a powerful profit center. I don't have to read this. You can see this. I think we all recognize a lot of value in endodontics in terms of reimbursements and the potential for growth along the way as the years go on. So my question to you is, how many root canals is your DSO leaving on the table? Because the reality is that these opportunities are just hidden in plain sight. And the reality is that most DSOs report low root canal volume by their general dentists, right? There's often a referral that happens and it's outside of your ecosystem. Every referred case is lost chair time, right? Lost revenue, just lost treatment continuity of a patient feeling that they have a dental home with you in your practices. And ultimately, clinicians want to learn, they want to grow. But with that lack of confidence and quite honestly, a lack of support from the DSO, it's a hard thing to overcome. And so the last bullet point is the one I want you to really think about, because me as a dentist that isn't a DSO, I recognize that intentions may be really good. Maybe some things have been implemented to support the doctors, but in general, the doctors feel under-supported. And that's where I want to welcome you into what I've built in terms of the Access Endo Impact Academy, because the goal is to empower, to embrace, and to truly educate these doctors, not just with the X's and O's, but with the belief in themselves that they can actually do this. And why would we do this? Why is it worth it? Because the revenue reality is significant. Now, it is very difficult to come across, numbers that might agree with every single one of your organizations. But as estimates, let's take a look at the average fee and reimbursement from collections for root canal treatment. And if we look at it even just on the low end, you're talking about for what might take a pretty experienced or proficient doctor an hour, maybe a little more, if they can be completing endodontic cases in your clinics, this can be a tremendous increase in revenue. Again, that same store sales growth, that organic growth through the same doctor. So if we take a look even on the lower end estimates, think about what could another 10, maybe 10 per doctor. What if another 100 of these cases occurs in the next quarter or two within your organization? And thinking about the math of what that means for the DSO's growth, for the EBITDA, for the enterprise value, it's significant. But the beautiful thing about Endo in this situation is it's not just about the EBITDA and the enterprise growth. It's about that doctor take-home check as well. And so let's just kind of put it together, just trying to jog your minds here in terms of what's actually possible. Even on a low end of adoption of getting a handful of doctors doing 10, 20 cases in a year, and looking at what that can actually do for the numbers and being able to do it really with a very low overhead cost, as we'll talk about later on. So again, all of this is estimated, just putting it out there. If we do the math, it's clear that there's a tremendous revenue growth reality with endodontics. If we can implement it, if we can have the doctors feeling good about it and actually starting to actually complete cases that land in their chair. So multiple layers of value. Again, minimal added overhead. You can see the impact on same-store sales growth without expanding your team, without changing your building or facility. And if you multiply this across the many locations that I know a number of you have within your organization, you have value creation for the patient. Let's start there. Obviously, that's what we're all here for. The DSO and the doctor. So to me, it's such a win to be able to implement this type of treatment, to be able to get the doctors moving forward, but we have a bit of a barrier to overcome, and let's talk a little bit about that. So what is holding your doctors back from root canal treatment, right? And I want to say that this is how I truly believe. The problem isn't willingness. Doctors are willing to take on and create more income for themselves and to create more opportunities to treat patients. It's readiness. And that's exactly what we've solved. So when I created this academy, it was for the specific purpose of answering providing a solution to a significant problem. And being a part of a DSO allowed me to really see that very clearly. So what's holding them back? Confidence. Let's be honest, how many of us love to step into something as a beginner in anything, right? Even if it's playing golf or picking up a pickleball racket. But now you're talking about a live treatment on a real person in a position where you could be liable, or someone might see what you did and it doesn't look good, and it's shame and it's blame and it's bad. So confidence is a problem because dental school training is so insufficient in endo, and that's across the board nationally and quite honestly globally. The procedural accident occurrence, right? They're worried about making a mistake and it's a shutdown signal. So confidence is number one. Then support, as I mentioned. Clinicians really want to help patients, but they don't necessarily feel very supported. If you're in dental school and you have an endo case in your chair, you have a clinical supervisor that you could go ask a question in the hallway, that they could kind of guide you. Well, that's actually what I serve as. I serve virtually as a clinical supervisor. So that support is really, really important so that they can help to boost their confidence by knowing there's someone there to help them make the fall a little bit softer. Again, clinicians feel that, making a referral is simply easier. Yes, they're going to make a little less money. Maybe they're going back to the desk to check their social media. That's a loss for you guys as far as the DSO. So when we take away this fear of error of iatrogenics by having education, empowerment, and a mentor that they can actually fall back and talk with, the support now is there. And when we start talking about how to support them as whole people, it's even more magnified. And it's a beautiful way to recruit doctors, to retain doctors when they know they're in a space of support. They feel that that is very, very valuable to them. And ultimately, mentorship, right? That's what this is truly about. I think we all recognize as we try to advance in our lives, our skill sets, our businesses, mentorship is huge, right? So burnout, emotional stress, the lack of preparedness, they really reduce the drive for the doctor to try to be better, to try to grow, right? Growth requires pushing outside of your comfort zone. And that can be by its name uncomfortable, but that's where the beauty is. That's where the magic is. So we encourage the doctors and actually support them step by step to actually push their comfort zone, which allows them to take on more procedures, gain confidence, so that downstream they become this very proficient and confident doctor. And again, it's all about whole person support. It's not just clinical. It's got to be both. What do you think the doctor's thinking about sitting in their chair in your clinics? They're thinking about their family. They're thinking about what they're going to do after work. It's a combined life. And if we start to address it that way and look at these individuals, not just as clinicians, not just as engines of growth within our communities, but actually people, human beings, and the healthier they are as a human being, mind, body, and spirit, the better they are as a clinician. And that equals better care. So I hope that you can see that there is a holdback here, but we can overcome this. So again, when we talk about what's holding them back, burnout is a problem. I know we hear about it. It's a buzzword. I'm going to show you some statistics that show that 30 to 40% of dentists experience burnout, right? That's not good. Burnout, I've been there multiple times, and that's part of why I've developed a program like this, is that I've been able to work my way out of burnout on multiple occasions. Why? Because of my practices, right? My personal practices, daily practices that keep me grounded, that keep me positive, that keep me grateful. And so that's an important part of what we're offering for you to be able to implement and bring back to your doctors. Emotional exhaustion. Many of you can relate to all of this, right? 18 to 23% of dentists experience emotional exhaustion. That doesn't mean good treatment. That means someone who's trying to get through the day because they're simply exhausted. And then this concept that you'll hear a lot about when it comes to burnout, depersonalization, right? Emotional numbing, a cynicism or pessimism, just this reduced empathy, sort of a detachment from what they're doing. That's the last thing we want in our clinics. We want doctors engaged, empathizing, but also confident and positive, and being able to actually give your patients not just great dental care, but sort of that good vibe that they take with them when they leave your clinic and go back to work. And now the person at work tells the next person, their coworker, hey, I had a great dental appointment today. That doesn't come from an emotionally exhausted or burnt out doctor, right? It comes from a healthy doctor. Again, the problem isn't willingness, it's readiness. We need to invest more into the people, the whole people that are our clinicians. So again, 9 to 12% of US dentists experience depersonalization. So the burnout's a problem. Look at the increase. And of course, COVID had a big part in this. But in 2018, 26.7% of dentists burnt out, now 41%. Now that's in 2023. Now let's be honest though. I think we can all recognize how underreporting might be going on here, right? What we know is that being a depressed, anxious, burnt out dentist is not good for business. And so very often dentists hold their feelings, they hold it all very tight because being depressed, burnt out, and anxious is not good for their practice. And it actually scares them that it might detract from patients wanting to see them. So what do? They suffer in silence. And we know this to be the case. I've done it myself. And so we want to provide not just clinical education and empowerment, but that personal growth, education, and empowerment. That is the key to mentor these doctors and get them really producing. As you'll see, the burnout trends amongst US healthcare workers, we're near the top. And it's no wonder, because it's a very stressful existence. There's a lot expected. It's performative. It's every hour. There's pressure. There's time. There's everything. There's patients who are in fear. They're in pain. All the things that you know about. But let's bring this into our mindset as to why the dentists are holding back from root canals, right? So again, the solution is that along with the endodontic curriculum and education that I'm going to share with you through the academy is also the endo success mindset called the Power of One program. So personal growth and stress management so that we can address burnout, address emotional exhaustion, and address depersonalization, and do it from a mentor like me who's been through it. I've been through it on multiple occasions, wanted to hang up my cleats for dentistry in general, but found another way. And through that, I've been able to thrive, including bringing this program to fruition. So, just want to also show you, this is a vetted program. I've had this program up and running since 2019, in the DSO version since 2022. It's a whole person mentorship, right? It's the clinical part, it's the professional part, which includes how we communicate with our patients, which is a huge part of what I do, and the personal part. And remembering that if we can put a whole person together feeling good, think about what that does for our malpractice risk. DSOs, if you think of one malpractice case, could be an absolute sinker. And so this is an idea of bringing together clinical education, personal growth education, melding them together and allowing a doctor to truly flourish. So Dr. Eric Dendinger was kind enough to send me this testimonial. And again, he really appreciates the curriculum, but what he really loves is the mental health side, recognizing even in himself how valuable that is for him. And so I just want to show you that we have a number of DSOs that already have been enrolled in this academy over a number of years now. We're getting incredible feedback from them, and just simply seeing this impact that ripples from the administrations of the DSOs down into the clinical supervisors, into the doctors, and right into the patients and their care. So as a part of what I'm doing in my regular basis is I do have a podcast. It's not about clinical dentistry. It's about the human being who just so happens to be a clinician. And Dr. Brett Kessler, current ADA president, said it best. We are our most important asset and our most valuable asset, and we have to take care of ourselves as such. Your doctors don't truly know how to take care of themselves. They're all achievement driven. They're pushing themselves hard. They're not refilling their cup, and they're winding up burnt out, emotionally exhausted, and experiencing that depersonalization. So the podcast is just about supporting these doctors through their journey, and really just even seeing it as a journey. It's going to have some ups. It's going to have some downs. We just keep learning all the way through. Everything is learning. The journey is learning. And that means if something doesn't work out great, we don't shut down and never do endo again. We accept it as a great bit of nugget of learning, and we use that as a foundation to get better on the next case. And that's the message here to your doctors is let's grow. Growth means you might make a mistake. I'm going to support you. We're going to learn from it, and we're going to get better, and we're going to keep getting better. And it's an amazing thing to see these doctors come alive. So when we talk about this whole person mentorship program, the Access Endo Impact Academy is multifaceted in how we approach educating and empowering the doctors. So it's built to train, support, and inspire the clinicians, right? Let's get more cases going, and let's do it with confidence, knowing that they have support. So, over 35 hours of CE, and everything generates CE from the Endodontic self-paced video module library that is custom curated for your specific DSO, for the type of armamentarium that you're using, which we'll also discuss. We have the mental health, resilience, and personal growth. Again, another 15 hours. This is just self-paced. This is just giving them the CE that they need anyway. It's beautiful that you are able to accomplish dental CE utilizing the personal growth, self-improvement type code. All of my CE is through PACE AGD. We do a 24/7 question and answer portal, as well as a direct mentorship case upload portal. So what I'm proposing here throughout my academy is your doctors upload their actual cases to me, and I guide them through one-to-one. We do this through typing, a message. We do it through audio. We do it through video, sometimes a loom. And I can actually guide the doctors both pre-op, post-op, intra-op, being that clinical supervisor on the floor just virtually, and being able to have a consistent message across all of your clinics, all of your doctors. That's the key. Then as one starts to get momentum, that doctor can support other doctors knowing that the messaging is all equal and valid. So we do live clinical coaching. We have a teaching studio, full dental operatory, wired through microphones, cameras, through a microscope. And the best part is that these portals that we're proposing are branded specifically for your DSO. They're not only curated for the material that fits your DSO best, some of it will be custom made, but it's also branded, so it's turnkey. It looks like you made it for the doctor. So scalable, predictable, plug and play training. So again, the program involves endodontic, CE, and personal wellness. This is the key of why you're here. We talk about endo as a growth engine for a DSO. I believe that the way you sustain it is you give them the education, clinical, you give them the mentor that's right in their pocket, right on their phone, PC, or tablet. But then you infuse this personal growth, right? This guidance, this coaching to help them get better and to feel good about who they are. When they're doing that, the treatment, the opportunity for growth, it expands tremendously. And so through the live coaching, direct mentorship, tons of CE, we have a whole person mentorship model that is absolutely custom for your DSO and makes it really, really special. So I just want to give you really quickly just a little tour through what this looks like in terms of how it can be branded, what's included, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we go forward with integrating Endo into your DSOs so that this organic growth that we talk about becomes a realized situation.
Greetings, I'm Dr. Brett Gilbert. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to take a look at what's possible with the Access Endo Impact Academy for your DSO. This is an example of our customized branded portal. All of your branding can be inserted here. We can change the look, the feel, any leadership messages or quotes, the video, any instructions that you want to have for your doctors. The goal is that they walk in here and when they log in, they feel like they're in your customized site. So ultimately, we have a lot of different modules that are here. As you can see, we have endodontics, the retreatment course, the endo success mindset, which is that personal wellness mindset course that really helps the doctors thrive and build resilience in their life, especially clinically. We do live coaching calls, which are always recorded here. Everything has a quiz and CE attached to it. And most especially, I want you to see the case upload form. This allows your doctors to upload cases to me, and I work with them one-on-one as their clinical guide to help mentor them and improve upon each and every case that they take on. So just to give you kind of a sense of what's here, when we look into the modules, you'll see through the thumbnails, there's a lot of different styles of the videos, both didactic, clinical simulation. We do live cases. We start at the very top of the procedure, preclinical topics, and we go through everything, diagnostics, anatomy, of course, talking about all the different statistics of what the doctors might find, radiology and cone beam, lots of case-based learning on cone beam. Even if you don't have cone beams within your organization, for the doctors to understand what things look like three-dimensionally is super helpful. Rubber dam placement, all of the things that we need the doctors to understand to improve on their endo is here for you. Every section has a quiz, and the CE certificate is automatically uploaded into their email inbox. We cover the full gamut, including chairside learning, where the doctors basically virtually shadow me. We have iatrogenic experiential learning. We talk about malpractice prevention, how to talk to patients, how to communicate when things don't go exactly right. We talk about dental trauma. So if a patient walks in with trauma, your doctors have chairside access to the right protocols, what images to take, etc. So I want you to see with the live cases and lots of other information here. We also have a little section for your team so that the assistants front desk are more familiar with endo and they can speak properly to your patients. So much is here. What I'm hoping to do is have you join me for a private call where I can go through the portal and show you what's possible, how we can customize it, how we can help you get your doctors performing endo, have same-store sales growth through organic growth and production through your doctors, have them supported mentally and emotionally, because burnout is an 80% high of incidence right now in dentistry. And one loss of one doctor in one of your clinics can result in incredible enterprise value loss. And then ultimately retention and recruitment. Our existing DSOs are using this program as a perk and a benefit to recruit and retain doctors. So please,
So yeah, and just wanted to show you also, obviously there's a lot here. We're going to be able to answer any questions that you have, but just to also show the depth of the coaching that I'm able to offer, and this is the idea is we use the right armamentarium, the exact armamentarium that the doctors find at your chair. That's what we teach with. And I'm going to talk about an incredible partnership that we have with Colteen Dental, which allows for an end-to-end solution from this education empowerment and then equipping the clinics with consistency that allow the doctors to use very high quality instruments and disposables. And we teach exactly with those instruments. And so lots of different ways, obviously rubber dam placement is one of those big things doctors talk about. They don't feel so confident about, so we show them, we teach it, we help them, we explain what we're doing. And this is all done through a variety of methods, not just the pre-populated videos, but literal live training that we do that really engages the doctors. Again, the videos, everything I do is meant to be not boring, right? It's about engagement. It's about making an impression and giving them something that sticks. And I use a lot of different simulated teeth styles to help the doctors. And this is something that we do within our hands-on programs as well that allow the doctors to follow step by step and really gain more comfort in how to approach, how to treat, getting the skills, getting the touch, the feel, and always having that expert insight that I offer that is infused, as you might be able to tell already, with encouragement, empowerment, and inspiration that, hey, doc, you can do this. You didn't learn it in school. You didn't feel comfortable. Maybe you had some bad experiences. You can do this. Let me help you. And that's what I'm asking you to consider as an incredible opportunity for your DSO to grow. So again, just a couple of case examples of some of the doctors that have been through. Dr. Udine, he is very, very excited about what we've been able to help him with. And, if you imagine one of your doctors going from 1 to 2 endo cases a month to 15 to 16 per month, thinking about the statistics we talked about just a little bit earlier, this is growth. This is one doctor, right? One doctor increasing the caseload so significantly and really talking about taking on complex cases that he would have previously referred. So this is really, really important. So I love how we can actually dramatically help doctors transform. They want this. They need it. When I was a dentist coming out of school and my residency and the first 10 years or so of my career, I didn't know anything about personal growth and development. I just knew dentistry. And that's why we get so burnt out. There's no diversion. There's no way to deal with our emotions and the stress and to be able to actually refill our cup. And so it's amazing to see these doctors create great opportunities. This is Dr. Geiger, Chief of Staff at Lad Dental Group. He's seen a caseload improvement in endo case volume over 30% in the past year. Again, one doctor at 30%. And you can see that by being able to help him, especially even with molar endodontics, he's just rocking and rolling. I mean, he's so excited and he's so gracious in letting us know that, the providers within his organization that have been engaged with me, they're all gaining confidence and they're all starting to improve how they do endo, the quality and the volume. Again, Dr. Patterson from Premier Dentist Partners, again, recognizing that they were really looking for a solution to help train their doctors in sort of a masterclass format. And they really love what we've been able to do for them. Again, it's a really interesting time where we can have a virtual mentorship, a virtual clinical supervisor. It's all possible and it's all built into the system, which, like I said, is humming, it's running. This is not a brand new program that we're just getting started with you. This thing is ready to go for you. It's literally turnkey. Dr. Melissa Welty, another dentist who has really been able to increase her volume. As you can see, based on this testimonial, she has a lot to say. She's happy with the coaching and what she's been able to gain. So again, she was doing about 5 root canals per year, and now she's done 26 in less than 2 years. So if you look at this for an individual doctor, it's tremendous growth. When you start to compound that along the number of clinicians and providers that you have, wow, it creates such a beautiful opportunity. And again, this Dr. Rucci, I just wanted to share this because one of the things that I've learned in my own travels as a dentist, learning, being mentored, is that my style does not include judgment. I do not judge. I tell every doctor this is a judgment-free zone. And she spoke directly to that. To get doctors to grow, you're going to expect that there's going to be some things that are going to happen, things they might not be proud of. So how do we react to that? And as she said, under your mentorship, I'm able to tell you I did mistakes, right? Or face challenges without the fear of being judged or ignored. And so I want to let you know that I'm not here because I have to be. I'm here because I love to help these doctors. I love to mentor them. And downstream from me helping them, I get to help and protect patients so they have better care. I get to protect your DSO from de-risking the malpractice situation that's out there. And on top of it, when you're feeding the doctors what they want and helping them grow, they become loyal and you retain them, and you use those doctors that are happy and fulfilled to recruit more doctors in. This is a growth formula that I know will work for you if you're interested. And what I'm really excited about is the next evolution is what we call the Endo Essentials program. This is a partnership with Colteen Dental, who is an incredible company, the highest quality instruments, and in my opinion, the highest quality support. We're talking about curating the learning and bringing it together with high quality armamentarium and customer support. We're offering hands-on training, not just for your dentist, but for your assistant too. Envision these hands-on, like a reimagination of hands-on training where the dentist and assistant are at your chair in your clinic doing the hands-on virtually and being able to truly simulate how they would treat a patient in the chair. Again, it's a continuum of learning. It gives them the opportunity not just to drop in to one session at one meeting and take what you take and leave what you leave, but rather a continuum where they're constantly being able to refer back. That curriculum, all those videos I showed you, that's a curriculum A to Z, but it's also a chairside reference. Oh, everything, I've got a first premolar tomorrow. Everything is indexed like YouTube, so it's easily accessible, so they can get that 3-4 minute video that they need that will literally prepare them for the procedure in an hour or tomorrow, what have you. With Colteen's help, we're able to curate instrument kits that improve ease and efficiency and keep it consistent. Keep it consistent across your clinics so that they're learning on the instruments. They're at every chair. Any doctor can grab a hold in different locations and sit down and do endo. And again, doing the instructions with the exact instruments, with the exact supplies, it just takes the fear. It takes one level of apprehension off of the dentist's back. And when you couple that by also educating the dental assistants in the same way, now as a team, they're implementing this together. So again, whole person mentorship to educate, empower, and inspire the doctors. So with this Endo Essentials, we have 3 core principles: education, empowerment, and equip. Right? So we want to provide this, quickly develop the proficiency level, get these doctors confident doing endo, knowing they have a mentor to fall back on, that they can learn from each and every case to get better, empowering them both as that clinician and personal, human being. So that whole person inspiration. Let's start growing. If you're growing on your personal side, it's going to bleed professionally. And if you're growing professionally, it's going to bleed in on the personal. So this is that fuel for sustained growth. And I think that that's what you're looking for. You want to hit numbers, but you want to see those numbers increase every year as the doctors continue to grow. And then bringing premium equipment and consumables with very cost-effective pricing, which is a part of this, recognizing that your expenditures, your overhead are going to be a big part of decision making, and endo can really surprise you in what it can offer. So again, I just want to give a shout out to Colteen, just a phenomenal line of instruments, different opportunities. I know some of you are aware of rotary instruments, some of reciprocating instruments. All of that is within the portfolio here. We curate this alongside of your clinical directors and your team to be able to create a really end-to-end solution to help you really bring this growth engine to life. This isn't just talking about it. We're ready to jump in and start with you now, getting the fourth quarter of 2025 on a level that you weren't expecting. Why? Because of the endo growth. And the endo is the key. And so ultimately, the truth about root canal treatment, there's clinical, economic, and clinician value. And that's not even talking about the patient, right? The value to the patient to be able to save their tooth, do it with the doctor in the clinic that they're comfortable with, and do it today, right? Especially if they have an emergency. A whole person mentorship model. I believe this is innovative. And it's really about investing in the people, right? The people, the human that happens to be a clinician. They're the growth engines of your organization. And yes, you guys do a great job managing and supervising and making big picture decisions, but it's about each and every doctor growing, producing more, creating value. that allows the DSO to truly flourish and allows the doctor to flourish more, feel great about themselves, and bring home a bigger check, which we can't deny, especially with the debt load that these young dentists have, how important that is to them to be able to create a sustainable lifeline that way. So a comprehensive end-to-end solution. Again, the Access Endo Impact Academy now partnered with the Endo Essentials program through Colteen Dental. We are so excited about this. We are ready to help you. We are ready to rock and roll and make this an absolute reality for you. Make this something that you can implement immediately and start to see the benefits of that growth. So if you do have any questions, if you want to learn more, we are so ready to speak with you. I've put my socials here, LinkedIn, Instagram, my email. I've also put Reagan Walker, who's our strategic partner with Colteen. His information is there. And of course, a QR code if you want to check out the website. Just very, very excited about what we have to offer, recognizing it is a solution. Again, the doctors are willing, they're just not ready. So let's get them ready and let's get your DSO humming. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you to Group Dentistry Now and Bill. And I would be so excited to answer any questions that have come through here. Yeah, thanks again.
Excellent. Thanks, Dr. Gilbert. Really appreciate that. Just a couple of takeaways there. I mean, you talked about the Endo Essentials, the 3 core pillars, the educate, empower, and equip, and it really resonates. And one thing that I'll say, just speaking with a lot of groups, is that you focused on same store sales growth, which is super important, right, to the DSOs. But I think the other thing that is really important that this Access Endo Impact Academy really can offer is that mentorship and education. And there's a huge issue in dentistry, in particular with DSOs and groups, with retention. And there seems to be a lot of feedback is the lack of education, the lack of mentorship that they're getting. And so really, I think with what you're offering here, the partnership with Colteen, is the opportunity to not only increase that same store sales, but then also offer up this mentorship, building this confidence, and also offering that education. So just wanted to give that feedback because I think those are 2 huge challenges right now, is the growth of the individual practices, but then also the retention of the doctors and also the assistants as well.
Yep. Thanks so much, Bill. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's handle a couple of the questions that have come in here. So this question here, and I think this is where we're going to dig into some of the things that you're going to offer at the Access Endo Impact Academy. What are some ways to train and simplify endo for younger associates? We know a lot of these DSOs have a lot of younger clinicians coming in, probably don't have a lot of experience doing endo. So maybe some ideas on how to offer some training and how to simplify endo for these young associates.
Yeah, so that's exactly, what we've done here. And again, I want to be clear that the program really can benefit and enhance an experienced clinician. And we've had many of them come through and be like, wow, like I didn't realize I could do this, or this little tip really helped me. But we also have it as a start from scratch program. And the idea is it's laid out a lot differently than sort of sporadic topics in dental school. If you'll notice the volume of videos, it starts out at pre-treatment clinical topics. So we literally start from the very beginning, and if they are able to work through, and again, the videos are short. So again, the thing about young dentists, they're inexperienced, they're in a lot of debt, and they don't have a very long attention span. We know this to be a fact. And I thought of all of that. So short videos, meaning I would recommend a doctor watch 1 to 2 of my videos while they have their coffee in the morning. Before you know it, they're going to be through that first section with a CE credit. They're going to then continue down. So the idea is just what I've laid out here, which is to create a self-study model, give live coaching so they can see it, hear it, be able to sort of envision what it would be like for them while getting all the expert tips and tricks. And then ultimately being able to have a one-to-one mentor. So the doctor says, hey, listen, Brett, I haven't done any endo in private practice in this DSO at all since I got out of school. And I say, okay, send me the image, send me the tests. Let's go through step by step. I'll give you a game plan. And guess what? If you get uncomfortable, you're not sure, close the tooth, right? Let's discuss it and then have the patient back and finish it. So again, this is what that question is really feeding right to the source of the problem. And this program is intended to be a solution for that exact type of doctor.
Another question here, maybe some ideas on creating a step-by-step mentorship program or some ideas on that. So they want to create an endo mentorship program. How do you start?
Yeah. So again, I mean, that's what this is meant to be, is kind of a turnkey start for you. And as far as step by step, the beauty of this is all of you would start out with a kickoff coaching call where I'd be able to, lay out what this program is, acknowledge the DSO for having invested in it. But then we also do hands-on programming where it literally is step by step through the procedure. They are watching me do it. I'm able to sort of follow them virtually as well. They're there with their assistant. So step-by-step teaching is critical. And ultimately, that's what we're doing. You're going to have live components to this program as well. But ultimately, that's what the doctors want. But the key is you want to be able to teach them step-by-step with exactly what they'll be using at the chair. And that's where the Endo Essentials collaboration with Colteen is so valuable, because we can make sure that each office is using exactly what we're teaching, and therefore the doctors truly get familiarity very fast, and that brings a lot of comfort. And so I hope that answers the question, and just want to reiterate, any other questions or further extension of the answers, I'm so happy to do that for you post this webinar.
How about a group that may have an endodontist or even a general dentist that has done a lot of endo? Are you able to kind of help them become that mentor, that maybe they're really good at endo, but they really haven't been able to be, they don't have the skill set to be a mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this is intentionally meant to serve doctors of all clinical experience levels. And the doctors that we had, there's one particularly in one of the groups that I mentioned, and he does a lion's share of endo across the whole platform. He's very experienced, and he just loves the program. He keeps, texting me, "Hey, I can't believe it. I didn't know I could do it this way, or this makes it so much more efficient. I love using this instrument. I was always using this." And so as that confidence grows, sure, we are training the trainers too, because all you need is one really confident, proficient dentist that can be in the clinic. And now those other dentists gravitate toward that. And obviously, if that dentist can be an ambassador to the program and encourage them to get into the modules, and hey, I learned this, it's a really beautiful way to build camaraderie around endo. And again, when the DSO does well, so does the doctor, so does the patient. So there's a lot of good vibes with this. And so we encourage that if you did have either a young endodontist on board in your platform, or a dentist that seems to really love endo or maybe wants to go into it, I've actually seen 6 or 8 of my students be accepted into endo residency. So there's a lot of intrigue. Like I said, doctors are willing, they're just not ready. And that's the solution here, is let's get them ready and give them that opportunity.
It actually ties in nicely with this other question here. The question comes from a director of partner support at a pretty large DSO. And the question is, how do you engage doctors to want to learn endo? So like, what's the way to kind of, I don't know if convince them is the right word, because there might be a lot out there that are just hesitant, to your point, right? Because they're not comfortable with it. So, but what are some ways to actually, engage doctors to want to actually, become part of Access Endo Impact Academy?
Yeah, so I think a lot of that comes back to think about dental school, right? That's the space where it's all brewing, right? You're learning crown and bridge and operative and perio. And endo just doesn't quite get that market share. And so what they do is they just sort of gloss over it. The doctors don't feel confident, and that's really what's holding them back. So what I believe is that this program allows them to sort of step back into that role of student again, knowing that they have a clinical supervisor, a mentor, and kind of starting from scratch. Like I said, the curriculum is built from the very, very tip top. Like, let's talk about consent. Let's talk about risks and benefits. Let's talk about, the basics of how you would approach a discussion about endo with a doctor or patient, and build on that. And so it's really about re-education. And in many cases, the initial or primary education, because they didn't get it. but this is all clinically relevant. It's all about taking it directly to the chair. It's all, I don't have the restraints of an accreditation or anything through the dental schools. This is about direct, practical clinical education that's engaging and stands with mentorship and with guidance, so they're not alone. Because to answer the question on the base level, the doctors just want to know that someone has their back, right? And if that person who has their back isn't going to judge them, make them feel bad, but simply elevate and support them, that's what they're looking for.
Excellent. How do you feel about general dentists performing endo retreats?
Yeah, retreatment is actually, if you had noticed, it's one of the parts of this course. There is an endodontic retreatment component to this course. And I think it's important. Now, let's look at a couple different scenarios. When we think of retreatment, we often think of a patient presents, they had a root canal before, they have disease, now I need to redo the root canal. But my mindset with retreatment goes back to the same dentist who treated that case a year ago and it's having a problem. So if a dentist is confident enough to take on retreatment, that's amazing. And I think that we can create a predictable way to get that gutta percha. First of all, to get the diagnosis right, understand the etiology, gain access, take everything apart, start to clean it. But the most value for you guys is in terms of the doctor being able to retreat their own case. Now, that might mean retreating a canal on the same visit because they took the final image and it didn't look good. And so they can jump back in and we teach them how to do that. Or to actually take on the components of retreatment, which is simple. We got to diagnose well, we have to remove what was placed before, and the rest of the procedure is just like initial endo. And so I'm an advocate for it. I don't think that and again, I want to be clear, I don't advocate that we're replacing endodontists here. That's not what this program is about, nor should it be. This is about the low-hanging fruit. This is about that endo that is absolutely doable by your doctors. And there are retreatment cases that stand in the same way. And so removing gutta percha, disinfecting, that is not a difficult task when taught correctly.
Yeah, it's interesting because we do a lot of surveys, and I know one of the responses to a survey question when it came to initiatives for the new year. So this was in late 24, still pretty relevant today, was to bring more specialty in-house. So again, easier said than done. So I think a solution like Access Endo Impact Academies can certainly help out, because I hear that all the time. And then when you talk to the group, and maybe didn't go quite, as easily or as quickly as they thought it would. So I think solutions like this, obviously for endodontics make a ton of sense. Here's another question. How do I push myself to start endo cases as a new graduate who has always had supervision while doing them?
Yeah, so first and foremost, that's exactly what we're talking about. Is you still have supervision. I want to be clear, right? You have supervision. It's in your pocket, right? It's not standing next to you, but it's there for you. And the way that we teach this is simple. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit, right? We don't dive immediately into the deep end of the pool. We start out with cases that are manageable. What does that mean? It means the patient can open wide. There's a big pulp chamber. Maybe there's decay that's already into the pulp. And we start to take on the more straightforward cases. We really focus on case selection. And then you do a couple of those and you think, well, I got through that. That's pretty good. Maybe I had a little setback here, but I understand what I learned from that. And now you start to push the envelope, the comfort zone, just a little bit. Now maybe the next one's a premolar. Doctor takes that on. Then next thing you know, they're like, well, that worked out pretty well. This molar looks, and it's about starting where you can, starting where you are, and then supporting the doctors to continue to grow, expand their comfort zone, start to select the cases that drop in their chair. Endo cases are dropping in your chairs all day long. The question is why are the doctors choosing not to perform them? And the reason is simple: lack of confidence and lack of support. And that is exactly the problem that I'm here to solve. And I want to express to you that it's working. And it's an amazing feeling for the doctor, for the DSO, and for me to see this elevation of care amongst the DSO space. I'm committed to this. We see the growing market share of doctors and practices that are becoming incorporated into DSOs. I did it myself. And so I believe that there's a true service here to be able to educate dentists, to be able to get them up to speed on a procedure that has so much value across the board. And so whether you're experienced and I can elevate them, and as one of you mentioned very aptly, maybe they become even a trainer or a doctor straight out of school, tons of debt, no confidence. Let me work with them so that I can support them in their growth. And when you see the transformation in an individual, one doctor, it's so worth it. And then you compound that across your whole organization. It's really awesome.
Got about 5 minutes left here. So time for maybe another question or two. Maybe we'll switch to clinical question here. Maybe talk a little bit about rotary systems that you use or recommend.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I use in my own practice, I use probably 7 to 8 different systems. But the reason is because I have made it my mission to learn and use in my clinical practice almost every rotary or reciprocating system that exists. And I'm talking globally. And the reason that I do that is because I don't want to say that you have to use X, you have to use Y. But what we've landed on as just an incredible system for this exact type of program is the OGSF HighFlex system. It's a controlled memory system from Colteen. They also have a reciprocating system called One Resi. So like I said, I've been doing this for a number of years. This Endo Essentials program in partnership with Colteen is the answer to the question that I had, which was, I think we can get a greater impact if we have consistency across the teaching, the learning, and the utilization of the instruments. And so I would say that as we embark on this journey together, I'm going to introduce you to this line of files through Colteen that I feel like incorporates the best possible properties and also is so easy to learn. Even the nomenclature of the instrument, they go by OGSF, orifice, glide, shape, and finish. Right? It makes sense logically as opposed to sizes and tapers and all these different complexities that confuse the doctor and confuse the assistant. So we have a great lineup, a great portfolio. It's our intention to get you going with incredible pricing to be able to support this program and make it a win for everyone.
Excellent. Maybe we'll shoot for one more question here. I think you already answered this one. There's a question about collections or revenue that a DSO can project when they add in-house endo. You had that slide up that kind of went through a couple different scenarios. So I think we already covered that one. Interested to learn how to start a program for endo as part of our growth strategy. That came from a large DSO. That one pretty much answered. What do you say to GPs who don't want to do any endo?
Yeah, I would say why. And what it will normally come down to is fear, right? And I always talk about what I like to teach and infuse. So this personal growth isn't separate from my endo instruction, it's infused in. And I tell doctors, listen, we need to shift from a fear-based mindset, meaning the doctor, might make a mistake. I might not do a great job. I might get into trouble versus a healer-based mindset. Here's a patient in need. I do have the skills and training, and I also have the mentorship and support to heal this patient in this moment. So it's a mindset shift to say that let's hit head on. The reason you don't want to do endo is because you didn't get good training, you don't have confidence, and you don't want to be hung out to dry when something goes wrong. And so when we can reverse all of that, like I said, the doctors who take on endo and master it, nothing intimidates them. They take on implants. They take on all kinds of different surgical aspects. It is an incredible boost to a clinician's confidence to overcome this fear of endo. The fear is not based in reality. Endo is doable. It's not this crazy, scary procedure that the doctors think it is. They only think that because the training was inadequate. So let's start over. Let's refresh. And on top of it, when they look at that curriculum that they're getting, it's your DSO branding on the top of it. It's what you developed, what you invested in for them. And that, again, just even subconsciously makes them feel taken care of and makes them feel that the foresight for this type of mentorship came from your administration.
Excellent. Well, I think we'll cut things at this point. We've got about a minute left. I just want to say thank you, Dr. Gilbert. Great stuff. We did not get to all the questions. There were several other clinical questions. So we apologize, but Dr. Gilbert will be able to get back to you on those for sure. He's going to get access to all the questions that came in, and he'll be able to address those. And there may be a couple that were specific for Coltine to answer. So Reagan Walker over at Coltine will answer those. But we really appreciate this. This was really, I think, enlightening and gives me a lot of hope from all the conversations I've had with DSOs that are looking to grow specialty and looking to retain doctors and looking to provide more education. This could be a really great solution. So thank you, Dr. Gilbert, and thank you everybody for spending an hour with us today on the DSO Study Club. Look for the recording of this. It'll be up on the website or on our YouTube channel. Give us about a half hour, and we'll have that up very, very shortly.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for everything you're doing with group dentistry now, and really appreciate the opportunity. And thank you all for being here, and hope to connect with you soon.
Yep. Thanks, Dr. Gilbert, and thank you, Coltine.